First of all, thank God for my salvation. I want to thank God for His mercy and His grace and His love for each of us. And, I thank God for this church and for the teaching that we've had on raising our children. And, we want to raise up our boys and our girls to live for God. We want to raise our boys to be leaders. And the world has its own ideas about leadership. The world looks at things like athletic ability, intelligence, eloquent speech, political clout, business sense. But Jesus spoke to His disciples about leadership a couple of different places. Matthew chapter 20, beginning in verse 25, says, "But Jesus called them unto Him and said, You know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever shall be great among you, let him be your minister. Whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many." And then over in Mark chapter 10, beginning in verse 42, Jesus called them to him and saith unto him, "You know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority upon them. But so shall it not be among you, but whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister, and whosoever you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all." And then over again in Luke chapter 22, verses 25 and 26, "And he said unto them, The kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But ye shall not be so, but he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve." Jesus talked about the world's idea of leadership, that you exercise authority over people, dominion, and that, it's top down, and that it's... But Jesus said, if you're going to be a leader as a Christian, you're going to be different. He said, if you want to lead, learn to serve. And so that, when my boys were young, that was something that I tried to teach them. When David was in 7th grade, he would complain about how some of the older boys, how they treated the younger boys. Sometimes they would bully him. Well, we all know 7th graders, sometimes they need somebody to thump them a little. But sometimes the idea that they had was, hey, I'm bigger and stronger than you, so you got to do what I say. That's the world's pattern of leadership. That's not God's pattern. But why does the world lead the way that they do? Because of our sinful nature. It goes against our nature to do what Jesus said, to lead by serving. But if we're going to lead in God's kingdom, if we're going to lead as Christian men, if we're going to lead in the church, we have to learn to serve. And Jesus said, the more that we serve, the more we can lead. I remember when my boys were in high school, during wrestling season, every Saturday evening after prayer meeting, they would have to go up to the wrestling room, roll up the mats, set the room up for junior church. And not all the boys would show up every week. And sometimes my boys would complain. I said, doesn't matter what others do. You do what's right. You serve God. You're going to give an account for yourself, not for what others do. You know, when my children were young, somebody asked me to help them in the nursing home. And so every Saturday morning for many years until COVID hit this last year and we couldn't go to the nursing home, I would go to the nursing home with my wife, my 2 boys, my 2 girls, and we would serve together there as a family. And my boys learned how to lead singing and do a lot of things. The girls, doing verses and but they learned how to serve there in the nursing home. And now, because of COVID, I was asked by my head of my boss to help them visit on Saturdays, and I enjoy doing that. I think it was really helpful to my children, for me and my children, to be there in the nursing home. And if you have young kids, that's a really good ministry where you, as a family, can learn to serve together. We want to raise our boys and our girls to live for God. But if we want our boys to be leaders for God, we need to teach them how to serve.